Captain Ibrahim Traore became the world's youngest head of state at the age of just 35. Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso and the military leader, is arguably the most powerful man in Africa. He came to office following a successful coup in September 2022. Leaders like Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi were terminated as a result of same course Traoré is leading. Yes, the situation is very serious. Additionally, he is engaged in a conflict that is kept secret from the public. He has been the target of several coup attempts because of this. Who is behind these coups is known to all of us. However, how is he bringing about changes that previous African leaders were unable to? How has he expelled France and reclaimed what is rightfully his, making him the focus of attention not just in Africa but globally? Better yet, we ought to inquire as to how he is frightening France and the West, opposing their dominance and emerging as a new force in his own right. He is a leader Africa will never have again, so let's find out. Ibrahim Traore was born in the Muammar province's Kera, Bondokui in the year 1988. He received his early schooling in Bondokui and went on to attend a secondary school in Bobo Dioulasso, where he was known for being quiet yet gifted. He started his academic journey in 2006, attending the University of Ouagadougou to study geology. Traoré actively participated in the Marxist Association Nationale des Étudiants de Burkina and the Association of Muslim Students while he was a student. He received acclaim for his commitment and support of his peers in a variety of conflicts. Traoré changed his career path significantly in 2009 when he enlisted in the Burkina Faso Army. He then earned his degree from the esteemed George Nandouano Military Academy and was deployed to an infantry battalion in Kaya, a town in the northern part of Burkina Faso, after completing specialist anti-aircraft training in Morocco. Traoré's military career progressed quickly throughout the years. After rising to the rank of lieutenant in 2014, he joined MINUSMA, a United Nations peacekeeping mission that is actively involved in the conflict in Mali. When he was named as one of the MINUSMA soldiers who showed bravery during significant rebel strikes in the Timbuktu region in 2018, his bravery gained international attention. Traoré returned to Burkina Faso after his time with MINUSMA and was instrumental in operations against the growing jihadist insurgency. He took part in the 2019 Otapuanyu offensive and other counter-insurgency operations. In 2020, he was promoted to captain due to his commitment and leadership abilities. Seeing the under-equipped Burkina Faso military and political elites embroiled in corruption scandals during this time made Traoré lose faith in Burkina Faso's government. He became the voice of disgruntled soldiers in the north who were unhappy with the way the administration was managing their military affairs. Therefore, Traoré was a major player in the January 2022 coup d'état in Burkina Faso, which sparked a patriotic movement for restoration and protection. He did not, however, take on authority on his own. Instead, it was used as a tool to execute a successful coup. He led an artillery regiment in Kaya after the coup, starting in March 2022. Traoré became involved in the plotting of another coup as a result of growing discontent with the junta's failure to effectively combat the Islamist insurgency, particularly among younger officers who had direct experience on the front lines. He and other officers attempted to convince the leader of the junta, Damiba, to turn his attention back to the insurrection. However, they ultimately chose to remove him from office due to his conflicting goals. Traoré was still captain when the coup took place on September 30. The Cobra unit provided support for the mission. In the immediate aftermath of the coup, Traoré said that he was now the new head of the Patriotic Movement for Restoration and Protection. As the head of state and supreme commander of the armed forces, he thus took over as interim president on October 6. The coup took place as Russia and Turkey sought to expand their spheres of influence in the Sahel. Until the Wagner Group uprising in June 2023, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the group's creator, had been a close political friend of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Additionally, there has been mounting dissatisfaction with France, the main Sahelian ally in the war against Islamists. Many in Burkina Faso wanted Russia to take the place of France. In the coming months, France may watch how it will be expelled from Burkina Faso. Heavy gunfire and explosions broke out throughout the capital, Ouagadougou, early in the morning as the coup got underway. Blockades were set up, mostly in the city center, by Cobra Unit masked soldiers. Gunfire was reported at the Koshim Palace, and clashes took place at Camp Abassi, where Damiba was mainly stationed. State TV stopped airing. The administration and the coup plotters were unable to reach an agreement. Damiba was dismissed in the evening by Captain Traoré, who cited his incapacity to deal with the escalating Islamist insurgency. He closed borders, suspended the constitution, established a curfew, and halted civil society and political activities. Traoré dismissed the Transitional Legislative Assembly, dissolved the administration, and proclaimed himself the new leader of the patriotic movement for Safagua and restoration. Damiba was charged by Traoré's new junta of trying to escape and launch a counter-coup. These accusations were denied by Damiba. A resignation agreement was eventually reached by community and religious leaders. Damiba has demanded certain assurances, including as security, the protection of his friends, and the fulfillment of pledges made to the West African Economic Community to restore civilian administration within 2 years. With the help of army officers, Damiba resigned and fled to Togo. With Burkina Faso in his grasp, Captain Ibrahim Traore quickly took over as leader. The goal of the coup in Burkina Faso, which occurred for the first time in years, was to drive away France and establish the nation as a dominant force. Ibrahim Traoré launched a full-fledged operation that no one anticipated after realizing how strong his position was and how the public supported him. In addition to all French officials, he first gave the order for the French troops to withdraw from Burkina Faso. He had a zero-tolerance policy, meaning that no conversation could persuade him to change his mind. He witnessed France's use of blackmail and influence over presidents while he was in the military. He therefore made the decision to first remove the French troops who were used as a form of blackmail. French troops in Burkina Faso were told to depart within a month by the military authority of the West African nation. The official Burkina Agence information made the announcement. Following a second military coup in September of the previous year, this was not merely an indication of worsening ties between France and its former colony. Burkina Faso's decision to stand with someone other than France was evidence of this. According to the AIB, a 2018 military agreement that permitted French forces to be present in the nation has been suspended by the military government. Around 400 French Special Forces soldiers were based in Burkina Faso at the time. France attempted to continue to debate this matter, but it quickly came to the conclusion that Captain Ibrahim Traore would only accept the evacuation of troops. It was now evident that even though French troops were already in Burkina Faso, with massive equipment and intelligence capabilities, they were unable to stop terrorism. The claim was that the French troops were there to guarantee French influence was felt, not to combat terrorism. Therefore, Burkina Faso needed to get rid of them. You should be aware that Ibrahim Traore was acting as a dictator and not making these choices alone. Instead, the population wanted French forces to leave their land, and he had their pulse. For this reason, hundreds of Burkinabés gathered in the city, Ouagadougou, to protest against France, calling for the closure of the French military facility in Burkina Faso and the removal of the French ambassador. They had put up giant posters of Russian President Vladimir Putin alongside the leaders of Guinea and Mali. France declared that it would withdraw its troops within a month, since it had no other choice but to stay in Burkina Faso. The French era in Burkina Faso came to an end with the departure of the on-foot troops that had protected French interests and influence there. The only thing left to do was to eliminate the private elements that were stealing from Burkina Faso. At that point, Captain Ibrahim Traore made the decision to retake the gold mines in Burkina Faso that were under the hands of French corporations. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by leaving a comment in the comments section below. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one. Let's proceed. In an effort to restore control of the nation's main source of income, Burkina Faso's military leadership is aggressively pursuing a plan to boost domestic gold processing. This action is in reaction to a notable drop in gold production, which fell by 15% over the previous year. West African nation Burkina Faso, which depends mostly on gold exports, is now thinking about building a gold refinery to enhance the value of its precious metal mining activities. Ibrahim Traore, the interim president, emphasized the significance of this refinery, characterizing it as an important shift that requires sector-wide prioritization. With 37% of all exports in 2020, gold made up a sizable amount of Burkina Faso's overall exports. Production numbers, however, paint a different picture. Estimates indicate that last year's production dropped from 68 tons to 58 tons. Captain Ibrahim Traore declared that he would establish an organization to supervise all gold mining activities. This organization will make sure that Burkina Faso's gold is utilized for the nation's benefit rather than to enrich the French. Not only this, but Captain Ibrahim Traore is diversifying allies and selecting Russia over the West and France. This is something which Muammar Gaddafi did. Instead of holding the West as its ally and depending exclusively on it, Gaddafi reached Russia and confessed that it was in Libya's national interest. Ibrahim Traore is now following suit. He is choosing by taking into account who could be Burkina Faso's most advantageous strategic friend, rather than turning Western adversaries into its own opponents. Ibrahim Traore has denied claims that Russian mercenaries are aiding Burkinabe military in their fight against armed groups linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, while highlighting Russia's importance as a strategic ally. Given the rise of anti-French sentiment in some areas of the region, attention has shifted to Ouagadougou's ties with Moscow. An agreement that had allowed France to fight armed groups in Burkina Faso since 2013 was terminated in February, and French troops were expelled. Traoré was asked about Burkina Faso's foreign supporters in the ongoing conflict, which has terminated thousands of people and displaced approximately 2.5 million people in the Sahel region over the past 10 years. In an unusual broadcast interview, Traoré clarified it by saying, "The French army's withdrawal does not imply that France is no longer an ally. We also have strategic partners. We have established new kinds of collaboration. For example, Russia is a crucial partner." By stating this, he made it abundantly evident that a nation may have two strategic friends who are antagonistic to one another. The West has adopted a colonial master's mindset. Only because they believe Russia to be an enemy do they want all nations to sever their connections with it. This has been denied by Captain Ibrahim Traore, who has stated unequivocally that Burkina Faso will not abandon one critical ally in order to appease another. You see, Western countries are concerned about Russia's growing influence in the Sahel and neighboring areas. After the Malian military government began working with the Russian military contractor Wagner Group to fight armed groups, France withdrew its troops from Mali last year. Since 2013, France has been present in Mali. However, Malians lost faith in their previous colonial overlords because the rebels were not put down. Captain Traoré also had his sights set on the propaganda apparatus in the West. He therefore began a crackdown on Burkina Faso's French media. The military junta in Burkina Faso took the crucial decision to shut down French news outlets and periodicals that were disseminating Western propaganda. According to an official statement, the junta suspended the publication because it believed that news reports and pieces on tensions and dissatisfaction inside the nation's military forces were inaccurate. The banning of the French magazine Jeune Afrique is the latest in a growing crackdown on French media since Burkina Faso was placed under military control last year. The junta accused the magazine in an official statement of spreading misinformation to provoke turmoil and of trying to damage the military's reputation. The junta had previously suspended French-funded broadcasters Radio France Internationale and France 24 prior to the suspension of Jeune Afrique. Allegations that these media sites gave Islamist terrorists engaged in an insurgency throughout the Sahel region south of the Sahara a platform led to these bans. 2 French journalists who worked for Liberation and Le Monde were removed from Burkina Faso in April. Liberation claimed that there was no justification for the suspension, claiming that all of the 2 journalists' documentation was in order and that they were of the highest integrity. La Chaîne Info, a French television news channel, has been suspended as part of this ongoing crackdown on foreign media. According to the junta, an LCI report on a jihadist insurrection lacked credibility and neutrality. France finds itself unable to use its power against Captain Ibrahim Traore after discovering that every element in Burkina Faso is incapacitated. Previously, in the past, whenever African governments acted against French interests, France would conduct coups in such nations. French media outlets and journalists defended the coup that was taken out on French initiative, while French troops threatened to use force and incite military uprisings. However, now that Captain Ibrahim Traore has rendered these components ineffective, France lacks the means to replace him. Furthermore, Captain Ibrahim Traore declared that elections are not the country's top priority when security is taken into consideration. This has heightened French concerns. This guarantees that France will have no influence in Burkina Faso and places Captain Ibrahim Traore in charge for an indeterminate amount of time. At first, Traoré had promised to organize presidential elections by July 2024 and lead the nation back toward democracy. He has now revealed plans to start amending the constitution in order to better serve the interests of the populace as a whole. Traoré stated clearly, "Let me be clear, security comes first, not elections." If he relinquishes control and lets a civilian take over, he is aware of how France can utilize its influence. He therefore seeks to amend the constitution to guarantee that France will never blackmail a civilian president. He won't permit elections till then. Compared to the previous presidents of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is unique. As African heads of state, we must stop behaving like puppets that move when the imperialists pull our strings, he stated bluntly. Such audacious claims have never been made before. His comments were compared to those of Thomas Sankara, who, like Traoré, had taken over in a coup in Burkina Faso. He is known as a revolutionary leader who cherished Burkina Faso and aspired to its independence. What are your thoughts? Will Captain Ibrahim Traoré be able to bring African leaders like Muammar Gaddafi and Nelson Mandela back to life and realize their dreams? Doesn't he possess greater strength to withstand any attempts to overthrow him? Do you think Ibrahim Traoré will be the leader to unite Africa and make it the most powerful continent on Earth? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. We explore the rich history, culture, and the ongoing struggle for sovereignty in Africa. Join us in this important conversation by subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you're not just staying informed, you're becoming part of a movement dedicated to reclaiming Africa's rightful place on the global stage. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Let's work together to spread knowledge and inspire change. Thanks for watching.